Bob, thanks for joining us. We're at the Garden, back at the Garden. Terence Crawford and Mir Khan. It's a real fight, type of fight that I think you like.
I love a fight like this. I mean, two world-class fighters who know what they're doing, who will give it their all. The stage of Madison Square Garden, like, I'm a New Yorker, so I may be a little prejudiced and don't live here anymore, but New York beats in my heart. But for me, it ain't big unless it's in the Garden. And I'm looking forward to this fight in the Garden. It'll be packed. Not only is the main event terrific, but the undercard, some of the best fighters in the future, fighting really tough step-up fights. It's going to be a great night of boxing.
You've had some good nights the last 4 or so years with Crawford, but there is, as you say, something special about the Garden. It's that you need to get that. You need to own the Garden. Can Crawford do that, grab the ownership this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it takes two to tango. And I have never seen Amir Khan so confident in his abilities, and I think the training camp that he has had has been spectacular, and I look for a really tremendous fight where it's going to be back and forth, back and forth. That being said, obviously I favor Terence Crawford. He's been our fighter for many years. For me, he's the second coming of Sugar Ray Leonard, and but I'm looking forward to really, really a good competitive fight. You know, Khan, over the years, has not sometimes been 100%. But the Khan that is 100% is one of the greatest boxers around. I mean, when he first came out of the Olympics, everybody was stunned with his boxing ability. He has tremendous speed. He's a big guy. The one knock on him is that he gets so excited with his success that he waves his chin in the air, and then, you know, a good puncher like a Crawford can make a good night Charlie. But I think he's learned by that. I think, you know, you look at all his fights, even when he was fighting a big guy like Canelo, who outweighed him, he outboxed Canelo until he thought he was Superman and he got knocked out.
Bob, this is 12 fights Terence Crawford's had, 12 world title fights Terence Crawford's had. He stopped the last 5. Is this Crawford's hardest test so far of his world championship career?
You look at the other fighters that Terence has fought. Now, they were good. Ricky Burns was a terrific fighter. Gamboa was a good fighter. Unbeaten. Beltran, Ray Beltran. Jeff Horn was a tough Aussie. Benavides, really good fighter. None of the fighters that Terence have fought, and I'll say this categorically, have the talent of Amir Khan. I mean, you can see that. That's not just a promoter plugging a fight. Terence has done everything we've asked of him. He's beaten everybody we've put in front of him. But let's be honest, not one of these opponents measures up to the ability of Amir Khan.
And do you think Crawford's aware of that? I saw him today, and I wasn't quite so sure he's as convinced as you that it will be a hard fight.
Terence Crawford is not going to let anybody know that the fight that he's about to have will be a hard fight. He is a master psychologist. He is extraordinarily intelligent. But the guy I know, he won't say it, but I know because I've talked with him, who knows it's going to be a hard fight, is Brian McIntyre, Terence's longtime trainer.
So, from what you've said there, a good Khan, the best Khan we've seen, gives this Crawford problems if Crawford takes his eye off the prize.
Well, Crawford won't take his eye off the prize. Crawford is a real, true professional. But that being said, this Amir Khan, the way he's been training and the way he can perform, if he does perform to that level, will make it a close, thrilling fight with Terence Crawford.
And finally, Bob, you mentioned there talking about Madison Square Garden. This garden opened when late 60s. What was your first fight in this garden? What was the first fight you can remember going to? Not promoting, going to.
First fight, I went to the first fight. Yeah. It was a doubleheader, I remember. Mathis was fighting Joe Frazier, and Nino Benvenuti against Emil Griffith.
Not a bad bill.
That was a pretty good bill. They had a doubleheader. The first fight I promoted in the new building was the return to boxing in New York of Muhammad Ali against Oscar Bonavena.
Now, okay, if that's the case, Bob, I'm now gonna ask you a serious question that all boxing people have been wanting to know. That was the fight that you never gave Ali a change room. He had to use Ken Buchanan's changing room. I'm blaming you for that.
Well, that may be. That may very well be. I don't recall that exactly. I know that I was like enraged because now you take this 3.5 years, he can't fight. Finally, a federal judge in New York says, well, maybe the Supreme Court still has to decide the case, but that's not a reason to deny him a license. So we get him the license, put him in with Oscar Bonavena. December 7th, 1970. Now remember the date, December 7th, 1970. And there I see Ali. He had made a deal with the guy who owned Benihana, the Japanese restaurant, Rocky Aoki. And Ali was going to go into a ring which has all Japanese in the back. So I'm yelling, it's December 7th, Pearl Harbor, you can't do it. Ali says, I took the money and I'm going to do it. And you watch that fight. He came into the ring with the robe that was written all in Japanese, and nobody said a word.
Oh, what a fight that was. Bob, listen, it's been a pleasure and a delight. Thanks for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Crawford versus Khan, live only on BT Sport Box Office.